How you doing? Duff here. And per request of Cliff, this is another tips video. This video is tips for people that are intermediate riders or on their way to becoming intermediate riders. So you should be a basic rider at this point. And how do you know you're a basic rider? Well, first of all, you wear safety gear, because all smart people do that, right? So I'm putting on my wrist guards and my helmet at a minimum. That's usually the bare minimum that you'll ever see me wearing. So yeah, you're putting on your safety gear, I'm sure, right? Absolutely. Okay, a basic rider probably still has a lower end wheel. Like right here is my $200 training wheel. You should be able to stop and start. You still might be more comfortable holding onto a pole to start or to stop, which is okay. I did that for quite a while. When you're riding, you probably still have moments of unsteadiness, waving the hands, that kind of stuff, wobble. Again, that's all very normal when you're starting. This wheel's such a piece of crap. All right. Okay, you may or may not be able to step on like that. That's a skill I actually talked about in the basic video. And if you did some of those practice moves I talked about, you should be well on your way to being able to master something like that. So let's talk about turning. First, the most common turn you'll have to do a 90-degree turn. Now, typically the way that I will turn is I will just initiate a lean to the left, and you'll find that it just kind of it'll get you going in the direction you want to go. Again, just like my tips from before, you don't want to be looking at your feet when you're turning. Okay, it's going to screw you up. It's going to mess up your balance. Riding a crappy wheel might mess up your balance too, just like this one. Okay. Piece of crap. All right, so let's watch a 90-degree turn. Okay, so you saw how I just sort of like dipped into that turn. You drop the pedal on the side that you're turning to. If I want to turn left, I'm dropping my left foot slightly. If I want to turn right, I'm dropping the right foot. And 90-degree turn is the easiest of all turns. Another way you can do it, you'll see some people talking about turning their hips to turn. What that kind of does is it allows you to almost come to a stop and do a tighter radius turn. Okay, so I'm just flipping my hips, and that gets the direction of the wheel changed in a hurry. All right, the other kind of turn you're going to want to master after you practice a lot of 90s is a 180, where you're doing a half circle if you want to like reverse directions or something. And what you'll find is this is something that you can do in a large radius at first, and then as your skills advance, you'll be able to do it in a tighter and tighter radius. So let me do some big half circles, and I'll make them progressively tighter. You're doing the same thing as you do with the 90, you're just holding it longer. Get your hips into it, you can turn it even tighter. And there's good riders that can turn much tighter radiuses than that, but you know, I can maybe do a 2-3 foot radius turn, so it's not too bad. But again, the 180 is really just an extension of the 90, using the same general technique. Stop wheel, stop, stop. All right, let's talk about obstacles that you may encounter. Like right here is when I was just learning these speed bumps here, which are very, very shallow. They're not high at all, but just that slight undulation as I was going across it, it would make me tense up. I had a few crashes after I crossed them, and really it all has to do with just being prepared for that. You know, being able to see the terrain in front of you and prepare for it. So whenever you're going over an uneven surface, whether it's a bump, whether it's a speed bump, crack in the sidewalk, whatever, you want to have your knees bent when that is coming up, so your legs can act like shock absorbers and make the impact much less severe, and it's less likely to throw your balance off. If you hit that stiff-legged, there's a good chance that you're going to lurch forward, and once that happens, depending on how advanced your balance is, some bad things can go down. So whenever you see uneven ground, get your legs bent, okay? And you might even want to give the wheel a little bit of an extra squeeze just to make sure that you don't get popped off the pedals, because that's another thing that can have very, very bad results. All right, in addition, right in line with going over small obstacles like that on a road or a sidewalk, when you're going off of solid surfaces, off of concrete or asphalt, onto grass or stone or, you know, loose gravel, whatever, you almost need to be in that slightly bent knee position at all times, because there's a good chance that the wheel is going to shift on you somewhat, you know, in a unpredictable manner. And having your legs bent gives you the ability to react to that situation much better. As you drop a little bit, you lower your center of gravity, which again helps with your overall balance somewhat. As you become more of a intermediate rider, as you're progressing from basic to intermediate, you want to work more and more on your maneuverability. I've already in the past, I have some small cones, like safety cones at home, and I set them up on various patterns in the parking lot, and you just try to test your ability to maneuver back and forth. That way you're evenly testing your ability to turn left and right, and that's something that's going to help you with your general riding skill and also avoiding accidents, unforeseen obstacles while you're riding. So it's a very important thing to practice. Poles work too. You've got a series of poles you can go around. That's good for your maneuverability testing as well. But I mentioned this wheel is killing my shins. My goodness. An area like this where you have tight turns is again good for your practice with avoiding obstacles. Another good training exercise is if you live near some place that has a track like this, see if you're able to ride and stay within the boundaries of an individual lane. That was a big deal for me early on, you know, being able to be stable enough that, you know, whenever you're riding, no matter how advanced you are, there's always going to be a little bit of back and forth movement. But if you're able to stay in a lane like this is probably a 4-foot lane. That's a very good practice drill for you to work on your stability while riding. Okay, you just saw I demonstrated a couple of other things you can do to help with your stability practice on the wheel, and that is riding with either your hands in your pockets or your hands behind your back. like I mentioned early on, a lot of times the tendency for all people that are learning to ride an electric wheel is to flail your arms around to try to balance. And that's a natural reaction. I did it as well, quite a bit. But the reality is what happens is the more you flail, the more you introduce wobble into your ride. So if you can practice riding with your hands perfectly still, so they literally cannot affect your balance whatsoever, you know, behind your back or in your pockets, that is a really good way to enhance your stability while riding. You'll feel much more calm while riding if you can do that without the flailing. And even now, you know, there's certain situations if something catches me off guard, you know, my hands will go up, but for the most part, my hands are just dead at my sides, and that's the way it should be. Okay, a lot of people, I guess the natural progression of thought would be, all right, as I learn more and more about riding electric unicycles, as I get more and more skillful at it, I will be able to ride faster. And that is true. You'll feel more comfortable at speed as you get more comfortable on the wheel. But a lot of people don't realize that really the more important skill is to be able to ride slower. Because the slower you ride, the more in control you are. That if you can ride slowly and stay on balance, you can do pinpoint turns, you can weave in and out of pedestrians, tight circumstances, a lot easier. So actually, learning to go slow is as important as learning to go fast, in my opinion. So, you know, as you can see here, I'm going, you know, walking speed probably slightly slower than normal walking speed. So this is a very important skill to master. You want to be able to go slow. All right, so that's really all the intermediate tips I could think of right now. I mean, I classify myself as a I don't know, a good rider or an average rider. I can do basic functions competently. I'm not a trick rider. I don't do crazy jumps. I don't try to do extreme things with my wheel at all. You know, I can't ride backwards, which is something I'm going to practice right now, actually. But yeah, I'm a good rider. I'm not a high-level rider. Ian from Speedy Feet is a high-level rider. I am not. EUC Extreme is a high-level rider. Matthias is a very good rider. He's high-level. So, but I'm confident. You know, I'm confident enough to not hurt myself in most situations. So, anyways, I hope that you found these tips useful. And if there's anything else you want me to cover, I'll be happy to do so to the best of my ability. And that's it. I'm going to go try to go backwards. Till next time, Duffman out.